Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Just went and picked up some Starbucks. All right, so let's dive in. So in this video, I want to talk about a topic that I really like when it comes to fragrances, which is layering. If you've been following my channel, you know that I like to layer. It's not hard to tell because I've made a good bit of layering videos. So, kind of just want to give y'all, four tips when it comes to layering that might be able to help you guys kind of dive in and really start experimenting and having fun with layering. Because I think the one thing that kind of turned me off with layering for a while is I remember when I first started trying to layer, I wasn't finding very good combinations, and I would just get frustrated because I would try a combination. It would smell like it was just a jumbled mess. It wasn't working well together. I'd mix two or three fragrances, and they just weren't working well together. And I would get annoyed because I was like, now I gotta have this on my arm all day, and I didn't want to have to hop in the shower and kind of start over. So that was really the only negative side about like playing around with layering is, you try it out, doesn't work, and now you're kind of stuck with that smell for the whole day until you choose to shower. But but yeah, guys, layering's really cool, and there's really kind of three categories that I look at when it comes to layering. You got two fragrances that smell pretty similar, that are kind of just very easy, you don't really have to think about it. That'll pretty much, what it'll turn into is one of those fragrances will pretty much just kind of have a small twist to it. So two fragrances that smell really, really similar, you throw them together and it's gonna smell like you just kind of put a small twist on one of those. No big deal, right? I don't really do that too often, I'll be honest, but I have. The other category, so the other two categories, is you'll have fragrances that are maybe smell really good, but maybe are a little bit too simple. There's not enough going on, there's not enough kind of like maybe depth or personality. So you have fragrances that smell really good. They could be a 9 out of 10 or above, but maybe they just have a really simple, DNA, a really simple scent profile. And those I do like to kind of layer with them sometimes, because though it does smell really, really nice, if I could just add something in there to kind of make it a little bit more interesting, it might bump it up from a 9 to a 9.3, 9.5. And those are probably some of my better layering combos, is where something already smells really good. I'm just trying to figure out how to make it smell a little bit better and kind of more interesting. So that's category 2. Category 3 is sometimes there's layering combos that seem risky. You're kind of like, I don't know, these are so different. Where it might be things on like polar opposites. Something maybe really dark, sweet, woody, animalic, with something very kind of bright, maybe fruity. Sometimes it's kind of like on polar opposites, and you're like, I don't see this really working. But sometimes you'll find some that work together well. It doesn't feel like you just kind of threw something together. It feels like the fragrances are actually working together, not fighting each other. Because that'll happen when you layer sometimes and you get it wrong. It'll just smell like that. It'll just smell like, I don't understand what's going on here. Seems like it's just two good smelling fragrances just kind of fighting each other. And they're definitely not working together. They are not buddies. So yeah, that's the third category. So that's tip number 1, is kind of looking at it within those categories. I think helped me navigate layering a little bit better. I think category 2 is probably the most common that I tend to look at, is something already smells really, really good. I just want to see if I can figure out something to make it smell a little bit more interesting, give it a little bit more personality, and potentially make it smell even better. So tip number 2 is you kind of want to look at it like a Venn diagram, right? So most fragrances, they'll have at least 2 or 3 notes that are really kind of carrying, right? So let's say 2 notes. 1 note, 2nd note. And then there's something that usually kind of brings them together. So a recent layering video, let's just talk about this, because I just kind of did a video on this recently. A recent layering video I made, I combined Fragrance World Suits with Mensfragrances by Lattafa, and it worked really, really well. Where, you know, Fragrance World Suits has a lot of patchouli carrying it, and really the main other note kind of carrying it is vanilla towards the dry down. So that's kind of the Venn diagram, right? In the middle, I would say, is where kind of the spices are to kind of bring it together. And yeah, it's a good fragrance by itself. Suits is amazing. So you kind of want to, tip number 2 is to look at it like a Venn diagram and look at it like, okay, these are kind of the main notes working within this fragrance. You know, it's got usually 2 to 3 really kind of main notes working within the fragrance. If I was to add a third circle, right? So this is circle number 1, circle number 2. So patchouli, vanilla, kind of what's going on with the Fragrance World Suits. If I was to add another note, what would actually kind of elevate the fragrance? What would actually, how can I introduce something, a new note that I could see working within that? And that's where, for me, I kind of hit it first try. I was like, I could see the kind of sweet apple, kind of smokiness working really well with Fragrance World Suits. And I threw it on and it was a banger, dude. It was so good. And so that's tip number 2, is you kind of want to look at it like a Venn diagram. Like, okay, these are the main notes working. What third note could I see if I added in there, making this fragrance better? And with that combo, it definitely did. If you want to kind of really get an in-depth review on that, definitely go check it out. I posted it not too long ago. I love that layering combo. It is fire. Tip number 3 is the order that you apply the fragrances matter. So sometimes you might have an idea in your head and you're like, I threw this on and it actually didn't come together like I thought. Try to flip-flop what you put first and what you put second. So typically when I layer a fragrance, I'll do boom, I'll wait 2 or 3 minutes, then I'll come back with the second fragrance and I'll layer it on top. I don't recommend you just go back to back, just boom, boom. Now I'll give it a spritz, give it 2 or 3 minutes to kind of settle a little bit, come back with the second fragrance. So if something you feel like should make sense in your head but it doesn't, try to flip-flop it. Instead of putting you know, let's say fragrance number 1, instead of putting it first, put it second and see if it works better that way. So typically with layering, this is kind of a bonus tip. Typically with layering, you're gonna wanna put the stronger fragrance first, kind of the dominant, stronger smelling fragrance as the first layer. And you wanna follow it up with kind of the lighter fragrance. But sometimes you'll have fragrances that you might wanna layer that are kind of on the same level of strength. There's not like one that's necessarily stronger than the other, and that's where with those, you'll probably have to play around with both combinations. Like that actually happened with me with Fragrance World Suits and Mensfragrance. I threw on Mensfragrance first and then tried to throw Fragrance World Suits on top, and it didn't really like do what I thought it was gonna do. It felt like they were kind of fighting. It felt like they didn't really mesh very well. It just felt like I just kind of threw something together. But then I tried it the opposite. I tried, and that's the one that I made a video about. I put Fragrance World Suits first, followed it up with Mensfragrance, and it turned into a banger. It was so good, man. So yeah, those are kind of just some tips that I would like to give you guys that might be able to help you guys if you want to really kind of start getting into layering, because I think it's fun, man. When you find a good layer, you know no one's gonna smell like it. It's fulfilling, it's exciting. You're like, yes, man, I found something that's like, you pretty much walk out the door knowing you're probably gonna smell like a 1 for 1, you know, a 1 out of 1. It's not gonna be anybody probably smelling like you today. And that's cool, you know, when you kind of find those little secret kind of gems within layering. It's always very satisfying. So, but that's it, guys. Hope you guys can kind of learn something from this video. I hope this helps if you do want to start getting into layering. And yeah, it's fun, man. Seriously, dive in. If you're kind of considering it, just go for it, man. Dive in. It can be really, really fun. And when you start to really find those really just fire layers, you're gonna probably start to get addicted to layering like I did, where I'm like, sometimes it takes time, sometimes it takes some experimenting, but when you find a layer that you're just like mind blown by, it's worth it, man. And then you've already found it. Now you can just spam it. You can spam the layer and enjoy it. So, yep, that's it for this one, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this helps. And I'll see you guys in the next one.